Tangled in Tuscany. Chapter 15. Something Left Behind. The morning after the courtyard dinner had long since passed. 2 full days had moved through the vineyard. Quiet ones, mostly. Still golden. Still warm. But threaded with something that felt different. Settled. And not. Sophia had spent most of the time photographing the blending process, helping Matteo with color checks, capturing the smallest details. Sunlight through a swirl of merlot, the smear of chalk on a barrel head, Luca's hand steadying a glass mid-pour. But even with the camera pressed to her face, she was aware of the shift. The way people looked at her now. The way she moved through the space, like she belonged not just as an artist, but as herself. Even Luca had changed in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. They hadn't spoken much since that night, but something lingered in the quiet between them. His touch, her breath, the unspoken tether stretched taut. This morning, she found herself wandering without intent. She passed through the south corridor of the main house, barefoot and still brushing sleep from her eyes. A faint breeze came in through the open windows, carrying the scent of fig leaves and stone. Somewhere, Chiara was laughing with one of the kitchen staff. And in the vineyard, she could hear the dull rhythm of pruning tools already at work. But Sophia wasn't drawn to any of it. Her feet led her down the narrow back stairwell she hadn't noticed before, past a warped door that creaked when she pushed it, down toward a space she hadn't yet explored. It wasn't the main cellar. That one she knew. The one with the barrels and blending racks, and the place where truths had already been quietly exchanged. This space was different. It was tucked beneath the old storm vault. Cooler, more compact. A mix of office and storage, with crates stacked along the far wall, and a low work table covered in dust. She moved carefully, brushing a cobweb from her shoulder, and reached for the light switch. Nothing. But a shaft of sun fell through a narrow window. Enough to let her see the corner, where an old satchel had slumped beneath a rusted shelf. The leather was soft with age, its strap brittle and curled. She crouched, curious, and lifted it gently. Inside was a pile of papers, some folded, others loose, old vineyard notes, training diagrams, a field schedule marked by hand in deep blue ink. Sophia recognized the handwriting. Luca's father. She sat on the nearest crate and began to read. October 3. Luca overpruned the Eastern Bloc again. Wants perfection before he understands balance. I must remember he learns by failing, not by instruction. February 17. Let him taste the early press this time. Don't correct, just listen. Her fingers slowed as she reached a note near the bottom of the stack. This one was older. The date smudged. The paper more fragile than the others. If I go, he'll inherit more than the vines. He'll inherit the silence. I've tried to teach him everything but how to be gentle with himself. Sophia blinked, breath-catching. She'd seen Luca's perfectionism, his restraint, his tendency to hold everything in, like it was the only way to stay standing. No wonder. She was still holding the note when she heard footsteps above, a pause. Then the door creaked open. Luca. He stopped on the bottom step, eyes adjusting to the low light. His voice came quiet. I thought no one came down here anymore. Sophia stood slowly. I didn't mean to intrude. The satchel was just there. He stepped inside, gaze moving over the work table, the crates, the light on her face. I used to come down here when I was a kid. Thought it was full of secrets. She smiled faintly. It kind of is. He moved toward her, stopping a few feet away. My mother packed most of this away after he died. I didn't know what to do with it. So I didn't. Sophia held out the note, carefully. He was trying to teach you more than farming. Luca looked at it. Didn't take it. Just nodded. I think, he said, voice low. He wanted to teach me how to love something without being destroyed by it. But I didn't understand that until he was gone. Sophia hesitated. You carry him. All the time. I see it. I didn't know how not to. They stood in silence for a moment. It wasn't awkward. Just full. Then Luca spoke again, almost to himself. I was 13 when I first realized I couldn't fix things. Sophia looked at him, startled by the shift in tone. He didn't look away. There was this friend of mine, Marco. We were close. Did everything together. He started pulling away that year. His family moved. Then his brother got sick. We stopped talking. I didn't know how to ask why. I thought it was something I did. Sophia waited. Luca's voice was steady but low. It wasn't. But it stuck in me, that fear. That someone could just go. And you'd never get to ask the question that's been sitting in your throat for years. Sophia felt her heart press against her ribs. I think that's why I held on too tight to everything after. He continued. To the vineyard. To expectations. Because at least then I knew what I could control. She moved a step closer. You were just a kid. Doesn't matter. Grief doesn't care how old you are. He reached out then, slowly, and ran his fingers over the corner of the satchel. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes had softened. I've never told anyone that before, he murmured. Sophia didn't answer. She simply reached out and placed her hand over his on the satchel. No pressure, just presence. He looked at her, not searching for approval, just being seen. Outside, the wind picked up, rustling the vines like murmurs through old paper. Sophia let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. You're not alone in this, she said gently. Luca nodded once, and for the first time, he looked like he might believe her. They didn't speak for a long time. The vineyard behind them rustled gently in the wind, the leaves whispering secrets in a language only the earth understood. Somewhere down the hill, Chiara's voice called to someone about forgotten tools, followed by laughter, then quiet again. Sophia and Luca remained by the low stone wall above the slope, the quiet between them now less like hesitation and more like recognition. Luca's hands rested loosely on his knees, gaze fixed on the last streaks of sunlight brushing the tops of the vines. His thumb moved slowly along a groove in the stone, as if tracing something he couldn't quite name. I remember this wall, he said eventually. My father built it himself. Said the land needed a boundary here to keep the slope from washing out in the rains. Sophia followed his gaze down the terraced hill, then back to his profile. It still holds. It does. He was quiet a beat. I used to think I had to hold everything too. Keep it all from washing out. She didn't respond, not right away. She didn't want to fill the space he had finally opened. When my father died, Luca went on, softer now. Everyone kept saying how lucky I was. That I had something to carry forward. Something to belong to, and I smiled, nodded, tried to be what they needed. But his throat moved once in a swallow. No one asked what I needed. Sophia turned slightly, her knees brushing his. What did you need? He looked at her, something surprised, and almost shy in his expression, as if he hadn't realized he was allowed to answer. I think I needed space to grieve without it becoming a performance. I needed time to hate this place a little, so I could find my way back to loving it for real. Sophia's breath caught, not because his words shocked her, but because they didn't. That makes sense to me, she said quietly. Luca offered a half smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Sometimes I think the vines got more compassion than I did. A soft breeze lifted the hem of Sophia's skirt. She tucked it beneath her leg and leaned back on her hands. You've made something beautiful here, even with all that weight. He shook his head. Not alone. Alessia, Chiara, even Matteo, grumpy as he is. They've all held me up in ways I didn't deserve. You're still standing. He let out a soft breath. For now. Sophia looked out over the rows of green, the soft arc of land stretching far beyond them. The light was fading into gold now, shadows pooling in the spaces between vines. Can I ask something? Luca nodded. What do you see when you look at this place now? Not what it was, not what it means to everyone else. Just now. He tilted his head, considering. I see effort and loss, but also possibility. Like the land still willing to forgive me, if I stop trying to be someone else to deserve it. Sophia studied him for a long moment. Then she shifted, turning to face him more fully. That's the first time I've heard you talk about forgiveness. Because I don't usually believe I deserve it. Her chest tightened. He looked down, then back up again, eyes meeting hers directly. But with you, sometimes I think I might. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Only her heart responded, pressing against the inside of her chest like it wanted out. A soft gust stirred the vines, and for a moment, the world narrowed to this quiet ridge, this broken man, and the space between them slowly mending. Luca leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped loosely. You ever get the feeling that you're standing in your life, but it's not quite yours yet? Hold the time, Sophia said. He glanced over, a small tilt to his mouth. How do you handle it? I take pictures, she said simply. That drew a real smile from him. Tired, but warm. Right. Capture what you can't fix, she shrugged. Sometimes it helps. They sat like that until the sky shifted from apricot to dusky blue, a single star winking to life above the horizon. Sophia's voice, when it came, was quiet. In New York, I was surrounded by people. But I always felt like I was performing. The curated version of me. Charming, polished, good with light. She looked at him. Hair. I think I'm still figuring out who the real version is. Luca studied her. I think you already know. Do I? You're quieter when you're happy. Softer too. And you listen better than most people I've met. That's not the curated version. Sophia's mouth curved faintly. You've been watching. Since the day you limped into the courtyard and tried to pretend you weren't hurting. A small laugh escaped her, caught off guard. I notice things, he added, voice gentler now. Even when I pretend not to. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. And what else have you noticed? Luca didn't flinch. You're more at home here than you admit. The words sank into her, low and deep. She didn't argue. Instead, she let the silence stretch between them again, the kind that felt less like distance and more like breath. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady. I still don't know what this is. Me neither. But I don't want to leave tomorrow and wonder what might have happened if I stayed a little longer. Luca looked at her, eyes steady. Then don't leave tomorrow. I won't. No promises, no declarations. Just the weight of presence. The anchoring of one soul recognizing another. Luca shifted slightly, his shoulder brushing hers. You want to stay here a little longer? Sophia nodded. Yeah, just a little longer. So they did. They sat until the stars came out in full, until the crickets took over the night, and the last light from the courtyard faded behind them. Two people. One quiet ridge. Nothing between them but the things they hadn't yet said. And the grace of not needing to.